Chair.
The Honourable Dr. Jonathan Coleman.
Mr. Chair, there was only one fact that came out of that speech by the heir to the Labour Party leadership, and that is the fact that Grant Robertson is going to be running around the mental health sector, wringing his hands, telling people how bad it's going to be. That's the one bit of truth in that speech. All the rest was complete fiction. That was a speech designed to scare people out there. And I want to put the records straight. Grant Robertson is here talking about funding. Well, the fact is, this government has put more funding into mental health than any government in New Zealand's history. $40 million over 4 years in the last budget. And for Grant Robertson to get up here and talk about mental health cuts, that's completely untrue. He knows his district health board, his local DHB, has had more funding under National than it ever got under Labour, and that money has gone up every single year. And he's not even going to get up and take a call, I reckon, to refute that fact, because that is the fact. Look, this government hasn't focused on bureaucracy and strategies like the last government did. We focused on access to services. What was happening under that last government in mental health, the Labour government? It's a fact. Pacific Islanders weren't getting access to mental health services. Maori access was way less than it should have been. Access, it's not, I'll tell you what, this is the absolute truth. Access for older people and the very young was not what it should have been. And I can tell you, if they thought mental health was such a priority, why did they never allocate it as a ministerial portfolio? They never did. See, here he goes. His answer to everything is a target and more money. Yet on part one, they were saying Tony Ryall shouldn't be focusing on targets. So it can't be both right ways. They're absolutely confused. Grant Robertson went on about the independence of the Deputy HDC Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioner within the Health and Disability Commission, who will now take over those functions of advocacy and monitoring. He's essentially questioning the independence of the Health and Disability Commission. And Grant Robertson knows that he is being completely mischievous because he knows that HDC reports to Parliament regularly. And if there was one body in health, I can tell you, that was monitoring what's going on in the health system, it is the Health and Disability Commission. He's also trying to make out that somehow the blueprint work will not be done. Well, Blueprint 2 is going to be completed by the Mental Health Commissioner. But the point will be that the implementation will then be carried on through this new position within the HDC, and most crucially, we've got a whole Ministry of Health. You know, hundreds and hundreds of very good public servants there, many of them working in mental health, who will be responsible through the DHBs for implementing this blueprint. So for that party over there, the Labour Party, to say that there's less spending in mental health, it is a complete fiction. So, Mr. Chair, I want to tell you that this government has put a premium on mental health. We focused on the services. Kevin Haig was talking about people not getting services in the community. Well, we've put a major emphasis through the primary health care strategy of making mental health services more available. I don't believe it's actually true that there are people in our mental health system in hospital beds who should be being cared for in the community. There's been an emphasis for many years, the Labour government actually did it as well, of getting people cared for in the community. So I think there's a broad... Well, Grant is right, they didn't do much in mental health. He is owning up to that. He said, I didn't think we did anything, and he is correct in that in some sense. But I want to give them some credit. They got the philosophy right. We've continued on with that philosophy. The best place for people with chronic illness to be cared for is in the community. And I just want to assure people that the advocacy functions of the Mental Health Commission are going to continue. Mental health has a very high profile now in New Zealand society, and I want to acknowledge the work of mental health consumers, people who have suffered with chronic illness, for the profile that they've brought to this. I want to acknowledge the work of people like John Kerwin, actually, who have gone outside their comfort zone to break down stereotypes around mental health, and that's been very positive. It's now a very acceptable thing for people to say to their mates, look, you know, I'm having a few issues, and people, by and large, are very supportive in a way that they wouldn't have been a decade or two ago. But I want to get back to the central point. Look, this is a sensible change which will preserve the functions of the Mental Health Commission, and mental health is a very high priority for this government.
Call the whistle all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a short contribution in terms of the debate, and what I really want to focus on is rationale.